What?
That is forever gonna be in my head.
What the?
I hate when movies are so predictable.
What the?
Second I sat down, I knew exactly what was gonna happen.
He's joking. He did not. And wow. The last 20 minutes, 30 minutes is gonna stick with you.
Forever.
Okay. 824, eh? Wow. Wowie. Men, yeah? Okay. This is a horror film, a folk horror film written and directed by Alex Garland. And starring Jesse Buckley and Rory Kinner. And yeah, so I saw the trailers for this one. I'm like, what's going on here? We're gonna, it's gonna be hard to do this review, by the way, without doing spoilers. So we're not gonna talk in detail what happens at the end. Just if you do go see it, know that the end is crazy, okay? And then we'll have a separate spoiler section where we get to fucking talk with you about it, because I'm sure if you've seen it, you need to talk about it. Anyways, so it's one of those types of films from A24, horror film, and what did I think? Well, I saw the trailers and it looked like creepy. I'm like, oh god, it's gonna be like all men are bad and the women and they're, it's a monster towards women and stuff, and it really isn't. I mean, it is, but it's not. It's not like that kind of outward, messaging or anything like that. It actually genuinely deals with some subject matter that is difficult, that happens in life, and they handle it in a very art house type of way. Is I guess the best way that I can describe it. And for me, I like these kinds of fucking weirdo films. It was shot well. It was directed well. The fucking soundtrack is extremely atmospheric and creepy. They play around with sound echoes, in ones that you've seen in the trailer. There was extremely well acted too. This Rory Kinner guy in particular does a really good job. Not going to spoil anything, but you see him on the poster here, and you've seen him in the trailer. And I think for a sort of creepy film, horror film, and then what happens at the end, it's one of those films where I'm thinking about it right now, a lot of films you walk out, you're like, fucking done with it, I've already forgot about it, but here I'm thinking about it, and it's kind of sticking with me, and I just thought that it was, really well acted, well shot, and creepy. And I'll say this, I'll end my little bit on this, is I certainly have never seen anything like it, anything like that towards the end. So ultimately, I liked it. I think I got my money's worth, and if you like weird, creepy, atmospheric horror films that are a little art housey, with quite a bit of payoff at the end.
You say little art housey. I would say big art housey.
Big heart. No, I think well, see, this one is unlike Lamb. Like, you guys hated Lamb. I liked Lamb, right? But this one, Lamb is art housey, because you're literally sitting there, nothing's fucking happening. You're like going and you're on a farm. But here, shit happens. And shit happens. It escalates quite extremely there towards the end. So I appreciated that. What did you guys think of this fucking film?
The acting was great. I love the tension it had throughout the film. It had me intrigued. The mystery kept me going. But the third act lost me.
Okay.
That's where I got lost. I was like,
I can understand that. I can totally get it.
I get the metaphor. I see what you're doing.
Yeah. But it was too much for you?
But what the fuck?
It's too much.
Yeah.
I like films that push the boundaries.
It was a little too much for me.
Lost you, okay. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I think the first 2/3 of this movie was stellar. We were building up into something, and then I think that we did spectacle for spectacle's sake. And I think I have a theory. I kind of get where we're going with this thing. I like so much about this movie because, like you said, it is beautifully shot.
Yeah.
I don't mind the slowness of it in the beginning.
Great,
I think it's
great locations.
But yeah, I mean, the atmosphere, everything about this is great until this movie goes places. And I just didn't...
You didn't like the creative choice at the end.
Yeah, and I don't even want to, like I said, I think it's spectacle for spectacle's sake. Like, I don't think it's like incredibly creative in a cool kind of way. And it's one of those things that'll stick with you, kind of like you bite into a cockroach in your sandwich or something like that. That'll stick with you for a real fucking long time. But you're not sure you'll remember that meal, but you don't want to.
It wasn't that bad. No, I don't think he has. Well, I mean, yeah, from his perspective, he thought it was too much. So did you. I thought it was too. Wait, I thought it was too much too. But I liked it. I like these kind of weird ass films.
Yeah, the guy next to me was like,
oh yeah, there were multiple audience members that were laughing. It was getting ridiculous. It was going over and over and over. Well, again, while they're talking about it in spoilers, I highly recommend that you do not see spoilers if you want to see the film. Don't watch our spoiler section. Experience it for yourself. And I value movies that can shock me, movies that go, what the fuck? And I think even what happens at the end is well shot. And I think that I have a theory. My theories are fucking dumb as shit. So it might not have anything to do with what they're actually trying to say with the allegory here and the message. But it's just my own little headcanon on why that was going on. This is from the same director of Ex Machina, Annihilation. I liked Annihilation too. I think a lot of people thought the end of Annihilation went a little out of control as well. So he seems to have a penchant for getting a little out of control at the end. I don't think I ever saw Ex Machina. And so yeah, I appreciated it. So how do I go about this?
You gotta be vague.
Vague is vague. So yeah, the plot deals with our character here, Harper, who she goes on holiday after a tragic incident that happens in her life. She's trying to get over the death of somebody in her life.
Yeah,
and
the trailer.
Yeah. Okay. So good. Yeah. And then so while she's visiting this fucking place, she's seemingly stalked by men and just like people fucking constantly harassing her and just weird shit going on and she's got her friend on the phone who she's constantly calling up for a little bit of a support system here. And I think that the whole thing works with it's like this oppressive tension. It's like, Jesus, this is getting otherworldly where it's like, can she even get out of this situation that she's in? And it's it plays with visuals, it plays with audio, and I think the effects were well done. I think there was some practical, there was also some CGI, and I think it was well done. And it's honestly the performances that really had me glued to the screen, both from her, Jessie Buckley, and Rory. So I'm actually gonna recommend you do this so that you can be like, what the fuck, Joe? But you'll remember it. So I recommend this because I watch a lot of shitty horror. I love horror. Watch it with my girlfriend late at night. We're like go through. There's just so many garbage films.
Nothing good. Yeah, it did the same thing.
And I like films like this. This film makes me think. It grossed me out. It made me creepy. And does it push the envelope? Definitely. And maybe too far for some, but it wasn't too far for me. I've seen worse. All right. So let's go ahead and give final verdict so we can talk about it in this book.
Let's do it. Make it quick. A 6 for me. I really liked it. You need to check it out if you like the artsy kind of stuff. I was very intrigued the first act, second act. I was trying to figure out what the fuck was going on. It was creepy. The gore.
Yeah, it was good.
The practical effects were fucking amazing.
Now, let me ask you one quick, because you said the third act is where it lost you. Was it the third act or just let's call it the climax?
I guess.
Or was it...
It's like 20 minutes long, so I mean, yeah.
Is it the climax that lost you or the third act? Because it was still escalating before you did. Okay, yeah.
But other than that, everything was like a comedy, like it was shot well. Mm-hmm. The atmosphere, the tension, everything was there for a horror movie. Yeah. So that was perfect for me. Okay.
All right, 6 out of 10. What about you?
Yeah, I'm right around there as well. I think this is a wonderfully directed Did we just crash?
No,
Okay.
I was checking. I was looking up something.
Okay, I think it's a wonderfully directed movie. I think it's an amazing, like the acting is amazing. We had 2/3 of this movie like just get better and better and better and better. And this reminds me of a lot of bad horror movies that I watch. Not in the writing, but in where like something's happening, we're building up to something that's kind of cool, and it almost feels like they want to end in with something fucking crazy, and they're sitting in the writing room like, I want to shock the audience, I want people barfing, I want people walking away, and like a lot of it didn't feel necessary. It just was, it didn't fit for me, and it didn't. And I like art house films a lot. I like horror movies. I like practical. I like a lot of the things that I should have liked this more. I think,
Yeah.
but the last 20 minutes. It just felt like he didn't know how to end his own fucking movie. And this is exactly what I felt about Annihilation. The last 20 minutes, it's like, cool, you built something
I
fucking
totally
incredible.
see the connection between that and this.
But it's like, you don't know how to finish your movie. You started out with something incredible, and it's just like, what the fuck did you do, man? Like, you had me. And every single time I watch your movies, you fucking have me until you're like, I just don't know how to end this thing. So 6.
Okay, and that's totally fair, and I can see where you're coming from, but I disagree. I think there's purpose to that, and I think it's going to gross some people out. I think it's some people are scared of it, and I think that it definitely links to the story and the reason why it's like a freaking demented obsession, and it can be a bridge too far. I get where he's coming from, because like this is A24, and one of the worst films I've ever seen from A24. I have to keep bringing it up every time. It's Climax, and that's what I was looking at. It was 2008. I literally after I was like, that is the fucking stupidest shit I've ever seen in my life, and it was like shock for shock, and I was like, I fucking hate this. So I totally understand, these kinds of things. But in this instance, it was fucking weird, like gross, monstrous, weird that I like. Okay, so I'm gonna go, wow, it feels so weird and wrong to give it this score because it's such a weird thing. I think it's an 8. I think it's a solid 8. I can see 9 if you're into it, but I think it's an 8, and it really definitely pushes the envelope. So the last bit, I think, is what people are going to be talking about with the film. But those first 2 acts were so solid as well. So for me, since all of it worked, I really thought it was a solid horror, creepy film with good allegory that talks about a subject matter that's kind of difficult and that is that people have to experience and somehow overcome. Okay? Alright, so let's go into the spoilers. And again, please do not watch the spoiler section if you plan to watch this film yourself, because you'll ruin it. If you don't plan on watching it, you want to know what the fuck it is, then come and join us in the spoiler section. Hey guys, welcome to the spoiler section. So what the fuck happened in this film? Alex, tell us what's leading up to this.
Yeah, she's in an emotionally abusive relationship with her husband, and he is, in the very short period of time, and I think this is important, he reveals to everybody all of these really horrible man traits. And it's really important.
Like what?
Like the fact that he's like a nice guy that's actually violent. He's all the traits that we see later on. And he's like incredibly emotionally manipulative. And all
so
these
these are the different personalities of this. Okay, so there's a men, and it refers to multiple people that she encounters throughout her. They all have the same face. It's some CGI.
Yeah. And so her husband is like, if you fucking divorce me, I'm gonna fucking kill myself. It's gonna be your fault, and it's gonna haunt you forever, and like, you better not leave me. And then he punches her in the face, and then she throws him out, and he jumps off the balcony, and he dies.
Yeah, and he was either trying to, she's not unsure if he was trying to get back in the house, or whether he just slipped and said, fuck it, I'm gonna kill myself, and like, he's falling, and she's looking at him, and their eyes meet. It's like fucking crazy, and it's a fucking crazy situation, because I know this shit happens. People are like, no, don't leave me or I'll fucking kill myself. And that is such a fucking disgusting thing to do to somebody, because it's like you're entrapping them. It's a fucking prison. It is oppressive. It is monstrous. And I think that this film kind of encapsulates that. So what's actually happening here, and you can interpret it in your own way, is that when she goes to the villa or whatever, that's 500-year-old house, it's beautiful, just absolutely serene, but it is fucking interrupted with this monster, essentially, that is multiple men. But I think it's all a manifestation in her head, this grotesque monster. And but then, who's constantly harassing her while she's trying to heal? It begins with, she finds a tunnel, does some echoing, and is kind of having fun, like singing, and then all of a sudden, a guy gets up, and he looks at her, and then he just like starts running, and she's like, what the fuck? She starts running, and she calls the police, and it was actually kind of subtle at first. I didn't really notice it with a few of the faces. And then as soon as this little boy with the mask, that wasn't looking too good. She's at a church.
I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah, she's at a church, and he takes his mask off, and I'm like, what the fuck? Because it is the same person that she's been seeing, this Rory guy, as a little kid. He's like, you fucking bitch, I just want to play games with you and stuff. And then the priest is all telling her, well, it's your fault, so maybe you fucking join it.
Yeah, he's
exactly.
lusting on
different
gaslighting and all those other things. The little kid is the childish tormentor. The police officer is like, well, what's the problem with the naked guy wanting to touch you? Like,
it's not a big deal.
We fucking let it go, man.
Right. He's a nice guy.
He's a nice guy. But he's hyper violent. And so he starts off nice, super nice, and grabs her by the head and throws her in the cement and tries to run her over the car.
That instant turn from nice to fucking brutal. And I thought it was well executed, well handled. Now, we're getting to what we're all talking about.
Before we get that, I was like along for the ride. I was like, what the fuck?
You like all that stuff?
Yeah, I was like, what the fuck is going on? Is some kind of fucking like the same person having sex with somebody, like inbreeding, or what the fuck?
Me too.
That's what I was thinking. Did not expect the next scene.
No, not me too. I'll correct myself. I knew something supernatural or something creepy or something monster-like was happening. I didn't literally think it was, a town of inbreds. But yeah, so
it's the same fucking guy, man.
Same guy, because it's in her head, Joe. Okay, so go ahead. I'm gonna let Alex take this.
So pretty much she keeps getting harassed by all of these different people. All of these different people are showing interest in her. She walks into the pub. All these creepy dudes are leering at her. The cop dismisses her fears or her legitimate actual fears. The nice guy's trying to be a nice guy and all those other things. And she finally goes home, and that's where she gets attacked. The monster shows up, the lights are flickering, the childish trickster takes over her cell phone and via Wi-Fi. And so you don't know if it's actually real that's happening, if it's in her head. Is it a monster? And none of that is ever explained, by the way. And so you just don't, she's covered in blood at the end, but, this didn't happen. Yeah. And so the priest shows up, I guess every single personality shows up, but the one that finally makes it into the house all the way is all of them. But then the priest tries to rape her in the...
Okay, hold on, no. So he doesn't actually get to rape her. He's attempting to rape her. He's trying. So let's back up just a little bit. So we have it all starts out with a homeless man who's naked, and then this homeless man, after being released by the cops, he starts putting fucking nature shit on him. I guess this is supposed to be a representation, spikes. And it's a representation of carnal, I don't know.
The savagery of man.
The savagery of man, maybe. So, and he comes up, and she's just constantly, she's getting sick of this at the same time. But yet, he doesn't seem outwardly hostile, at least this particular entity. So she's almost watching it, and in fact, what is going on here? That even blows fucking... I don't understand half of the shit that happens, right? He blows some fucking dandelion seeds. She sucks the seed into her mouth, and then she kind of chills for a little bit, and then is walking away. And the guy is trying to get into her house, and instead of she kind of does it slowly, and he puts his hand through the mail slot as he had done before, and he's reaching out. So maybe this is supposed to be, this particular aspect of this monster is the old man or the person that wants to be loved and comforted or something just needs somebody. So she reaches her hand and makes contact, again, allegory, right? But then it grabs her in a hostile way, and she's like, all right, fuck this. She hits her with a knife. And then he pulls his hand away, and this was gross as fuck.
It was fucking gross.
It was cool though.
Slow motion.
Yeah.
I turned away a little bit. I was like, oh, I rarely do, but I was like, oh, this is fucking.
And then this was when I knew it was like
that's her husband.
Just turned
supernatural. So then you got one hand this way, one part of the hand this way, and yet it still functions, and it's still look what you did kind of thing. And so it's her grief. It's this ghost. He says at one point, I think he even vocalizes that it's going to haunt you. This is going to stay with you forever if I kill myself. And so this is that ball of disgusting grossness that is Colin, and she conquers it on her own in this house. And anyway, so he busts in the house, and yet he's leaving the screen, but then popping back on the screen, a different personality. This time it's the priest who actually is like fucking pontificating of, I don't know, maybe chapters from the Bible and then just Shakespeare and weird shit. Where he's just
vagina's driving me crazy.
Exactly.
That's what he says.
Exactly. I guess that's the lust that you guys were saying. And he at one point like fucking caresses her with his little fucking weird thing. I'm like, but that's the fucking shocking gross thing. And he puts her up against the sink. And he's like, trying to get with her, and then at this point, she just drives the knife into him and then kicks him. And I was like, okay, we got that.
Well, she sits there for like 5 minutes. Yeah. Like, she has a knife the entire time. So she's pretty much given up and fighting back. She's not there. So I think she's like her kind of almost given up.
Yeah. That could be what the pollen were supposed to represent. Like, it's a kind, gentle gift, and then it makes her sort of docile when she shouldn't be docile. Like in a relationship when, baby, it's okay, I'm going to treat you this way, when really you shouldn't be. I don't know.
I went pregnancy right away. So the dude seating her, like literally seating her, and then...
Okay, it could be that too.
Yeah.
Okay, he stabs her, and then we leave, and we think it's taken care of.
Yeah, she stabs the priest. All of the personalities end up breaking into the house. And then at this point, she's had enough, and so she just... she runs out of the house, she grabs her car keys, and then tries to drive away. But she runs into the nice guy.
Yeah.
And the nice guy...
Go ahead.
Yeah, she runs him over and then she stops. Because if you're the kind of person that gets actually mad, not like, come on, bitch, run, but I mean like actually mad, you're gonna hate this movie. I'm not one of those people. But because she stands there while like weird shit's happening the entire time.
Yeah.
And like someone is trying to rape her and she's just sitting there with a knife going like, I'm not doing anything until the very last minute. So she runs him over and then stops the car. And then he's like, oh, it's you, Miss What's-Her-Face. And then it's in half a second, and what was so great is you can see it in his face. He goes from like jovial and nice to fucking evil, grabs her by the back of the head, slams her into the concrete, gets into her car, and tears off. And then only to turn around and try to murder her with the car.
And beautiful visuals again, by the way, in the countryside. Not a lot of lights out, so you see the stars. It's just fucking atmospheric. Now, the excuse that I'm going to give, or the explanation I'm going to give for her dumbness in these situations, like just fucking leave or run or attack, is that it's all allegory. It's all in her head. It may or may not be happening, and this is her trying to overcome it.
Well, she's trapped,
and she feels blindsided or was deceived by the nice guy persona several times, and then finally she gets over that. Okay, but the final scene. This is the thing where people were getting crazy.
Yeah. So he chases her in the car. She has a little Ford Fiesta, and he tries to run her over, and he runs into a light post. And so she just kind of slowly crawls away. She starts crying around the apples. Again, this is a ton of religious imagery, like a ton in this. And then the savage man shows up, and his gut starts to grow. And
he breaks his leg first.
Because this whole thing, like they keep showing you, it's like, look, her husband had his arm ripped in half and his leg was broken, so like every step of the way, these guys are her husband. So his leg breaks, and his arm's ripped in half, and then his gut swells.
So I'll admit that I didn't fucking understand that at first. I was like, why is his leg breaking? And why is his arm in two? I didn't actually know. I saw, and the film tells you, because it shows you a scene, they show the aftermath where he's been impaled on a pole. But then I kind of made it out, before he was birthed. I made it out. Yeah. Keep going.
So the Savage Man, he's now he's completely covered in thorns, and like the little twigs that were there are now full on sticks. And then his, there's a lot of wiener in this. Like, if you're squeamish about wieners, there's a lot. And so not only does this guy have a wiener, but this guy has a vagina. And his gut starts to swell, and he gives birth to a child. And it's very graphic.
Oh, and they show it full on.
Oh, yeah,
head on. Again and again.
It's exactly like health class in middle school. You watch that and you're like...
And it's bloody, and then you think, oh, is that a child? What's going on here? And then he raises his head and gets CGI face again.
It's the creepy kid with the bad CGI. It looked better this time because he was covered in blood. But it was
and that crawls at her, and it kind of grows at the same time, and then it also has a baby, or a pregnant belly, and then that one gives birth. So I counted them. Yeah.
The
Savage Man, the boy, the priest. Jeffrey.
Yeah.
Then
it was a Jeffrey.
Yeah, Jeffrey.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was Jeffrey, and then her husband.
And then but it's birthing each time, and this is what I think where the audience started to laugh, because it's like, okay, we got the birth, we got it, it was gross, you put us through it, and then it happens again. And then it happens again, and then more pussy, more vagina, more.
There's a spine. There's a spine vagina, and then there's one through the mouth too.
Oh yeah, we can't forget. So there was the butt vagina, the spine vagina, the back vagina.
There was two butt vaginas.
Two butt vaginas, or maybe vagina.
You know, like just under the ball, you know.
Okay. And it's just constantly birthing with all the afterbirth and everything, and you see everything.
And then the husband is born, and
then but this one is not really a vagina birth. It is a mouth birth where 2 feet come out, and then he's like trying to regurgitate it, and it looks good in terms of them trying to get this effect done, and not practical but CGI. And then he falls over. You see it off screen, and then the guy walks in. And she is just in total, utter, she is just completely disarmed, fuck, I'm resigned to my fate, I guess. But I still have the fucking knife, and then actually she grabs for the axe. And her husband walks in. And it's like, aha! And then you see, and then his arm and then you get it, because his leg is, and if in case you don't get it, the husband does eventually sit down instead of coming after her, right? Yeah. And you're like, what the fuck is going on in here? And he's like, and then he starts explaining his situation. I landed on the thing.
Ripped my arm in half.
And look at what you did. Look at me. This is what you did.
It's like, what do you want?
So it's like, that to me was like fucking gross and awesome. It was like, this is her fucking grief and pain, this monster. It's a literal monster that's continuing to attack her. Why is it so obsessed with her vagina? Why are we having births? That maybe is above my pay grade. That has to do with fucking the lust after the fact that women can birth, and then the burden of birth, and then this monster is trying to mimic her, but he can't quite get it right, of birthing of a female. I don't know. It's just I have no fucking clue.
All he wanted was love. That's what he wanted.
So he birthed himself 4 times in front of her because he wanted.
That's what he said. He's like, what do you want? Love.
Yeah, and you don't know if it's all in her head, because at the end
it's all in her head.
She's completely covered in blood. The house is completely covered in blood.
It's not all in her head, because she sent that picture to her friends. Like, oh, that's creepy.
There's a creepy dude, and
officer, the lady. She's like, oh yeah, we got him. He's a creepy guy.
And at the end,
and there was blood on the ground in the entrance,
and on her shoulders where the creepy hand was split in half, and then the friends looking at her like, "What the fuck?" So it's like, is it in her head? Is it not in her head?
If you think about it more, did she just kill the random guy?
But that's what I was thinking too.
Or 4, the cop shows up. He's like, "Man, I'm sorry. I was off duty. I was having a drink. I feel really bad. I wanted to make sure okay." And she's like,
But to me, that actually deepens it and makes the metaphor even crazier because maybe she literally lost her shit over this fucking very traumatic event and she was imagining these monsters and she killed the fucking caretaker, she killed the priest, she killed this little kid, and she killed, I don't know, a cop or a homeless man who was walking around. So yeah, that just deepens it and makes me solidify my 8, maybe go up to a 9. I actually like this one. This was a fucking weird, crazy journey of
a lot of religious stuff. Forget the Adam
yeah,
and Eve.
art house.
A24 stuff.
Oh no! Don't eat the apple.
Pomegranates.
Hey, I'm just joking.
There were no apples.
But
There were
great
no apples.
performances, great visuals, great atmosphere.
In that area of the Bible.
And I guess it just pushed it too far for Alex and Joe when there was a lot of vaginal births.
It's just like it's not the imagery because I've seen things that are worse than that. It's not the blood and the gore. It felt like the director was like, you know what, I really want to shock them. It's like, okay, but for what purpose? He's like, I want to shock for shock's sake. It's like, well, that's not a good thing in my book. And that
I get it.
For me, that is a director that honestly didn't have the skill or the talent to do it in a way to like. And you can go crazy. I like crazy. You know that we like that kind of stuff. But
You gotta hammer it home.
it's just like but he wanted to hammer it home, and then he fucking kept going for like 3 days. It's like, dude.
I like his skill and talent, and him hammering it home in that way was good for me, and I thought it was well executed, and he was trying to shock the audience. There's no doubt. But there are some films where I see where they try to shock the audience and it completely fails. This is one where I think it shocked the audience and it worked. But that'll be the debate. I'm looking on the audience score, 50%, and then I reloaded it and it's 62%. So maybe
It just came out like an hour or two ago for most of its audience.
So it's probably going.
Yeah, there's nothing on the internet for this right now. So
Yeah.
it's gonna go all over.
No, it was at 62. Then it went to 50 just now. I just reloaded it.
Yeah.
So the audience score is going down. And the critics are about 76%. All right, guys, that was the juicy bits of men.
What did you think? Yeah?
Now that you saw that same shocking thing because you're hearing the spoilers, or maybe you didn't see it and you just had to know what we were talking about.
What's your theories too? It's
Yeah.
I'm just kind of
Did she-
spitballing.
Was it in her head? No, because the fucking picture. She said, "Oh my God,"
Yeah.
but it could have been.
That could have been in her head.
No.
I think "Oh my God" could have been like, "Look at how beautiful this." No, because they were talking about the guy several times.
He comes back. I'm gonna hit him with the axe.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So exactly, huh?
Maybe that was in her head too.
Or maybe that was the only real one is that initial trigger. So the homeless guy under the railroad thing is the only real one, and then the rest of it was like in her head.
I was totally expecting her
Open-ended.
to just there was no broken window, there's no blood, there's no anything, and she's she's like made peace with things.
Yeah.
But
maybe that would be too easy for audiences.
after the quadruple
Question.
cyclical birth, like too easy.
Question: what is with the leaves and the twigs and the guy's green face? Is he like is the nature?
I think it's
representation
religious
of
imagery.
nature?
Like, because we talked about Adam and Eve, we talked about the pomegranate, we talked about all these things that the Christian religions in that area borrow from paganism. That was clearly a pagan. That's not a Christian thing.
And then also the other thing is she goes in this church and everything looks churchy in the church except for one thing.
Yeah.
It's like a fucking. I think it's for baptisms.
Yeah,
but the sculpture around it is very weird. There's like an evil looking face, but then on the other side is like a woman holding a pussy open or something.
Yeah, fertility on one side,
Fertility.
nature on the other side.
I don't know if that's in churches and
Christmas. Jesus was not born in December. It's because the pagans celebrated that day, and he did the Christian church as we know it borrows from pagans because they couldn't get the pagans to worship on any other day.
That's
so
true.
they're like, no, you can keep your Yule thing. Jesus was born that day. It's like, wait, what? Just go with it.
Yeah.
I got downvoted. You can tweet at me and you can be mad, but that's the truth. No, not in my. Shut up. You can Twitter at me. I don't have a Twitter. Fuckoff.com.
Google it.
Anyways, so fucking crazy. Let us know what you thought if you've seen the film. Thank y'all so much for watching. That's a crazy one. And I like these kinds of films. Hopefully, there's some. I saw some trailers for some upcoming ones, and I hope they're as weird as this one. So we'll see. All right, guys. Thank y'all so much, and we will see you on the next Angry Joe show. Bye, guys. Well, what were those trailers? There was one.
They're not A24 though. The chef one is Fox Searchlight.
Damn it! That's the one I wanted to mention, but I had completely forgot about it.
Alex, this is your type of movie.
The Menu. Oh, yeah, it's my type of movie too, because I like.
Yeah, it's weird that it's Fox though.
That's Fox.
It's it's not A24. I was expecting it to be
the
like
A24. I was less interested in. You know, the one with the neon lights and the Gen Z kids.
Yeah, I really don't give a fuck about that movie at all.
I want to see Menu, and then I think there was a trailer for one more. Do you remember? Okay, so there was that one.
The Menu, Bodies.
Yeah, I do not care about that one.
Oh, that's what it's called. Bodies.
I think so.
I could have swore there was another one in like a jet. No. Oh, nope. That's in July.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about it. We'll see.
It's gonna be one of those little mystery boxes, and it's gonna depend on whether that's satisfying.
That one.
Yeah.
We'll see.
All right, cool. Well, I wasn't recording that part. Oh.